Of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Public Works into the proposed CSIRO Australian Centre for Disease Preparedness electrical infrastructure replacement, Geelong, Victoria. In accordance with the committee's resolution, this hearing will be broadcast on the Parliament's website, and the proof and official transcripts of proceedings will be published on the Parliament's website. I also remind members of the media who may be present or listening on the web of the need to fairly and accurately report the proceedings of the committee. My name is Graham Perrott. I'm the federal member for Moreton, coming to you from the CPO in the middle of Brisbane.
Keith Pitt, Deputy Chair and federal member for Hickler.
We'll go to New South Wales.
Maria Kovacic, Senator for New South Wales. Thank you.
And the ACT?
Tony Zappia, member for Macon.
Daya Smith, member for Bean.
And we'll just check in on Tasmania. Or Western Australia? No? Okay. I now welcome representatives from the CSIRO to give evidence. For the Hansard record, would you please each state your full name and the capacity in which you appear?
Fiona Rothwell, Director of Business and Infrastructure Services for CSIRO.
Rod Howard, Project Director for Australian Centre for Disease Preparedness, ACDP. For CSIRO.
Virginia Magaza, Associate Director at Turner & Townsend.
And Mark Szlakowski, Project Director for Turner & Townsend.
And online?
If I could just note, Mr Perrott, Nicole Wilson, who's online and is our Project Manager from Turner & Townsend, isn't a witness in these proceedings.
I've got it. Okay, thank you. Although the committee does not require you to give evidence under oath, I should advise you that these hearings are formal proceedings of the Parliament. Consequently, they warrant the same respect as proceedings of the Parliament itself. Giving false or misleading evidence is a serious matter and may be regarded as contempt of Parliament. Ms Rothwell, would you care to make some brief introductory remarks before we proceed to questions?
Thank you, Mr Perrott. Good afternoon, Senators and members of the House of Representatives of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Public Works. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to present the opening statement to you and members of the public in attendance on an important project to replace essential electrical infrastructure at CSIRO's Australian Centre for Disease Preparedness, or ACDP, in Geelong, Victoria. The ACDP site extends across 35 hectares on the shores of Corio Bay and is approximately 79 kilometres southwest of the Melbourne CBD. Before I provide an overview of the proposed works, I'd just like to emphasise the importance of the capability that the ACDP facility brings to Australia. ACDP is a unique high biocontainment facility, pivotal in safeguarding Australia from exotic and emerging infectious, animal and zoonotic diseases. Through the critical sovereign capability ACDP provides, CSIRO delivers research, diagnostic testing and advice to government on biosecurity and counter bioterrorism, helping protect the Australian community and our agriculture industry. ACDP also collaborates with the Australian government and our Asia-Pacific neighbours to strengthen animal disease surveillance and diagnostic capacity across the region. This work aims to help safeguard the international community from the threat of infectious animal and zoonotic diseases and to create a more secure region for Australia by reducing the risk of exotic diseases breaching our borders. ACDP gives Australia a unique and vital sovereign capability. Having ACDP in country gives Australia that sovereign capability to quickly control disease outbreaks, to keep control of trade-sensitive biosecurity information and conduct investigations into potential biothreats to the nation. The ACDP facility has two unique characteristics. Its ability to conduct diagnostics and research on large animals at a physical containment level 4, PC4, the highest possible level of biocontainment. ACDP is one of only 3 maximum containment animal health labs of comparable capability for handling large animals, such as cows and horses, in the world. It's the only PC3, PC4 facility in Australia capable of housing large animals, and as such is the only Australian facility where trials with vaccines against high-risk diseases can take place in large animals. Secondly, its unique engineering allows it to safely and securely hold and enable work with the most dangerous pathogens, with its box-in-a-box design, ensuring that microbiological security can never be compromised by a single physical or equipment failure. It is the only facility outside of Europe and North America with this design, which provides the maximum level of protection from unintentional release of an agricultural, environment or zoonotic exotic agent into the Australian landscape. ACDP is approaching its 40th year, and CSIRO is currently in the midst of advanced planning of a multi-phase midlife extension project to the site. This ACDP part-life refit project is being designed to allow ACDP to continue operations and perform as a purpose-built and compliant high containment facility for the next 30 years. The APLR project will be the subject of a separate and much larger approach to government and is likely to be referred to this committee sometime in 2025. The subject of this referral, replacement of critical electrical infrastructure, is an integral part of business continuity at ACDP and essential to continued reliable biocontainment at ACDP, which would support any of the options proposed in the APLR project. Turning now to the need for the works. The need for the works included in this submission is highlighted by deficiencies in the electrical infrastructure, providing power reticulation and redundancy at ACDP, primarily due to its age. This infrastructure, including switchboards, cabling and generators for backup power, have been subjected to preventative maintenance since the site's commissioning in 1985. The instances of reactive maintenance through emergency repairs have increased over the past decade, with the current deficiencies presenting in the following ways. Firstly, critical equipment is reaching end of life, leading to a heightened risk of failure. Secondly, there are long procurement lead times for major electrical equipment, including generators. This means that urgent replacement in the event of failure cannot be arranged in the short term. And thirdly, there are inherent work health and safety risks in continuing to operate ageing equipment. The works proposed in this project are considered business as usual, requiring the end-of-life replacement of highest priority equipment. The proposed project scope includes replacing 3 standby backup diesel generators, replacing 4 low-voltage main switchboards, replacing a high-voltage 22 kV switchboard with associated incoming main switches, replacing 2 6.6 kV switchboards with associated network reconfiguration, and replacing in-ground 22 kV cabling between the site's front gate, the Engineering Services Building and Animal Entry Building. The outturned capital cost for the project is $29.9 million. Subject to parliamentary approval, contractual agreement with the preferred tenderer via a head contract is anticipated by May 2025, with an expected 24-month construction period for the project. I'd like to conclude by highlighting that the biosecurity services at ACDP provides are critical to resisting the serious public health impacts of pandemic disease to the Australian nation. Further, the impact on direct and indirect financial benefits are significant, also through the avoidance or reduction of impact associated with pandemic outbreaks. In 2019, this was estimated at $653 million per annum. Continuous electrical supply to the ACDP site is essential to maintain biocontainment through maintaining compressed air on the door seals of containment vessels and also in maintaining a negative pressure gradient. Assurance of business continuity at ACDP through providing this continuous electricity supply underscores the public value of the project. Members of the Parliamentary Works Committee, I'm sure you can now appreciate the importance of the proposed works. That concludes the opening statements, and the witnesses and I are now available to take any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Rothwell. Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much for your submission. And I'll start with the easy one. So can you just explain briefly what would happen if you lost your power supply completely, so the facility went black?
Yes, Mr Howard. You can answer that one.
I thought he said easy.
Remind you, this is a public hearing.
Yes.
Senator, if the facility lost power, then the key biocontainment controls, the sealing of the facility and the negative pressure gradients would no longer be maintained. It would cause the facility obviously to cease operations, and we would need to take action to actually make things safe and temporarily seal the facility.
Right, so we'll assume all of that is bad. So just to come to some of the technical pieces in the submission, you talk about the risk, particularly from very high arc flash. Could you explain what level that is and what that means, given this a public hearing? So what's the risk we're talking about there?
Mr Shkowski.
Yeah, thank you, Senator. So the arc flash on particularly the LV...
Hold on. You can get away with it once, but you can't call an MP a senator.
Apologies.
That's quite okay.
My apologies.
Talking about arcing up, that's...
Come on.
Mr. Pitt.
Sorry, to try and answer that question, the arc flash rating on the LV board is currently at 49.7. With the suits rated about 40, or rated to 40, sorry, which obviously is in excess. The rating, the arc flash rating of the board is higher than the current PPE. An arc flash is essentially an electrical explosion that creates an unsafe environment or for the operators. So this project looks to bring down the arc flash rating of the boards, as well as providing remote operation of some of those switches.
So how does it go about doing that? How is it reduced?
So the board manufacturer itself has high separation internally with the buzz bars, so there is a lower arc flash rating of the board itself, but also allowing for remote operation, so an operator doesn't have to stand in front of that board, minimising distance from themselves to that risk. Minimising that risk by maximising distance. Thank you.
Yeah, and some of the switchboards are leaking oil. It's an insulating oil, is it? That there's no PCBs or any other contaminants in the oil that's currently leaking?
To the best of my knowledge, it's the insulating oil, yes.
So in terms of is there anything that's got PCB contaminants? And if there is, how do you intend to deal with that and dispose of it?
I don't know the specifics of disposing of PCB oils, but it is a known volume, so the amounts we have will be managed through contracted works with appropriately licensed and accredited contractors.
Yeah, I might get you to take that on notice, because it's you know, we deal with a lot of different types of contaminants in different projects. You know, whether it's defence bases or others, and I think it's just important to know how that's going to be dealt with and disposed of in an appropriate way. This one's a bit out of the box, literally. Any of your HV, are there pitch box connections or anything that might contain asbestos, especially friable asbestos?
Yeah, there are trace elements of asbestos that will be contracted to as part of the works, known quantities that will be contracted to the contractor.
All right. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Deputy. Mr Zappia.
Thank you, Chair. Is the current ACDP facility in working order? I mean, you can still do disease prevention through it?
Absolutely, it's in full working order.
And it might be a side question, but what is the process for racing horses when they come in from overseas in terms of testing for anything?
We didn't bring any research capability with us today. I would be happy to take that question on notice as a process question, if you like.
Okay, I'll just be curious what what process they have to go through to ensure that there is no risk associated with them. And lastly, you mentioned both, I think the USA and Europe have similar facilities. Is there anything, was it Europe? I could be wrong.
Yes.
What have we learnt from what they do that we could be doing differently or better here?
Again, it would be our scientists who have the closest relationship with those facilities. In terms of the facilities who have large animal containment, it would be the facilities in Germany and Canada that have those facilities. We would be able to take a question away with us and ask our scientists to provide more detail on that, if that would be helpful.
Okay. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Mr Zapier. Now go to a very well-respected Senator Kovacic. So I wouldn't like people to think I was bad-mouthing senators. So.
I know, I was about to have the uprising of the senator. Thank you. My question relates to the comments and both verbally and in the report around reactive maintenance. And I want to get an understanding of what the impacts have been to date of the reactive maintenance, including on capability and responsiveness, and then by extension to that, whether there are any other key functions at the ACDP that have started to have reactive maintenance, and whether there is a plan to work on those in the near future as well.
Thank you, Senator. Our CSIRO's property strategy requires us to invest in maintaining key infrastructure as a matter of course, and we do that at all of our facilities, including at ACDP. And in this case, we also have an eye on our multiple regulatory frameworks to keep that sovereign capability safe. Mr Howard, are you able to talk more generally on the reactive maintenance and preventative maintenance regimes we have at ACDP?
I don't have a great lot of detail. I think we might have to take some of that on notice for Jason probably to respond to. What I can say is that in the lead up to a report from 2023 that identified concerns with the failures, that there was a period of time. Again, I'd have to find the time frame, what that was, but a period of time that we were without one of the generators that couldn't be operated, which left us in a situation that we operate on the basis that we have N+1 capability, where N is the number of units we need, and the +1 actually allows us to operate if one of those happens to fail. When we have one of those units fail, we no longer have that N+1 redundant capacity. So that did leave us what we consider to be exposed. That a further failure would have left us unable to completely power the facility during as an electrical outage, and so hence that's sort of where that concern is coming from. But I don't have the specifics of the duration for what that was in that event.
Sure. So I guess then that's my next question was, did it have impacts to business continuity? So you've had the N+1, so you've never had a situation where in that N+1, your +1 hasn't been effective, but your N, you've still been able to operate, obviously.
We were still able to operate during that period, yes.
Okay. That's all from me. Thanks, Chair. Ta.
Thank you very much, Senator. We'll try Senator Pratt in Western Australia. No, move on. Try Senator Colbeck in Tasmania. Okay. Mr Smith, all yours.
Chair, the temptation to say that the ADCP has some ACDC issues is just too great.
Only AC, actually.
Thanks, Ms Rothwell and Mr Howard, for your answers so far. It's good to see action like this on a report like this. I'm interested, obviously, the May 2023 report on the condition of key assets, which identified these issues. Were there any earlier reports that identified similar issues. I imagine there would be reasonably regular reports on the conditions of key assets, and were there any that identified the risks and the need for the emergency replacement?
I'm not aware of any that identified this level of replacement. There's certainly email correspondence, but I don't recall specific reports.
Yeah, and I'm happy.
Yep.
I'm happy for you to take that on notice.
The arc flash was a prior report. But.
Yep. 40 years is a fair time, and I wonder, Ms. Rothwell, whether what's occurred here at the ADCP has sparked an interest in assessing other sites of similar ages which might have maybe not so dramatic an impact in terms of the impacts of the failure of switches, but could have switches of similar ages and so possibly have the same challenges.
Thanks, Mr. Smith. We do undertake regular preventative maintenance, which includes condition assessments on many of our facilities, and we track that replacement of critical infrastructure and deliver it as part of from that CSIRO's capital management plan. So we do have a regular annual allocation of capital to deliver these replacements.
So just as a follow-up, Ms. Rothwell, and I'm happy for you to take this on notice, would there be other sites with similar aged switches around 40 years or potentially older?
I will take that one on notice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Mr. Smith, and I do apologise to the witnesses for your humour at the start, and just when I was trying to give MPs a good rap as well. All right, I think we have covered all the questions, and yep, all good. So thank you for your attendance here today. You'll be sent a copy of the transcript to make any corrections to the transcription, and I declare this public hearing closed. In fact, I declare the Secretary, is that right? I declare the meeting closed.